Welcome. I'm Lee Cowan, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. You may recognize British actor Jonathan Bailey from his star turn as the eldest son on the steamy Netflix hit Bridgerton. But don't think his success happened overnight. Bailey told Michelle Miller how long before he had audiences swooning, he discovered the joy of performing as a child.
Growing up, he played the role of theater kid, not pushed by his parents, he says, but by his own passion for acting, singing, and dance.
So I was down to play basketball, but the ballet classes were happening in here. I was obsessed with everything that was going on in here.
Later in the show, Jonathan Bailey on being an openly gay actor in Hollywood.
You said that the biggest obstacle you faced this year is still the endless, tedious, and archaic commentary that playing gay can capsize a man's career. Is that true, not true?
Well, it's
or
interesting.
Just
yeah.
tiring?
No, I think specifically with that quote, I mean, much like you know this anyway, but you say something and sometimes the nuance is lost. And actually what I meant there really is that to be an out gay actor and the conversation around, you know, at one point even playing as a straight man playing gay was seen as risky in itself.
Then from romantic roles to death-defying feats, Seth Doane introduces us to some high-flying divers who literally jump off cliffs and learns what compels them to compete in such a dangerous sport.
It's like going through a car crash 1,000 times. You know,
It sounds awful.
It definitely
It really
is.
sounds like a terrible thing.
But absolutely worth it every single time. I
But
think.
why? How?
In the moment, you feel nothing but pure bliss, and that's the scary part. Your natural instincts are like, don't jump, this is crazy. But in the air, it's like finally this moment of silence. I have anxiety, I live with it every single day. But the second I jump off that platform, my mind is so calm.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Actor Jonathan Bailey has played both hetero and homosexual heartthrobs. In addition to a leading man on Bridgerton, Bailey has also portrayed a gay Capitol Hill staffer during the so-called Lavender Scare in the McCarthy era. Gay government employees were targeted and forced to resign. The drama, Fellow Travelers, is available on Paramount Plus. Here's Michelle Miller.
Let your mother stay.
I do not want to speak with my mother a moment longer.
From his turn as a Bridgerton heartthrob to the electric love scenes with co-star Matt Bomer in Fellow Travelers, actor Jonathan Bailey seems to have mastered the art of the on-screen romance.
You and this damn chemistry. You seem to have it with everybody you're in a space with.
No.
We have chemistry.
We've got chemistry.
We got major chemistry.
We met the British actor in his hometown outside Oxford to discuss, among other things, that chemistry,
And I should like to use that moment to dance with my beautiful wife.
which is at least partly responsible for his career-altering role in Netflix's smash hit, Bridgerton, now in its 3rd season.
To be able to go from Bridgerton and then to go straight into a sweeping gay love story in this way is just the first step. And the idea that it's even possible is great.
That sweeping gay love story takes place in 1950s Washington.
The pervert is easy prey to the blackmailer.
Senator Joseph McCarthy wasn't just after communists. His congressional witch hunt also targeted government employees suspected of being gay.
We should not be disturbed about people because of their morals.
We're disturbed about them because they are dangerous to this country.
This dark chapter in history is the subject of Fellow Travelers, which explores the fictional love affair between two closeted Capitol Hill staffers at the height of McCarthyism and the so-called Lavender Scare.
What that meant for a community was kind of lost at that time because it wasn't really talked about.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
In
It was
secret.
completely suppressed.
10,000 people.
Taking their own lives, losing their jobs, losing the respect of their communities, of their family.
Being outed.
Being outed.
A lot has changed. Bailey and his co-stars in Fellow Travelers are openly gay, But the Lavender Scare helped shape lasting cultural attitudes towards homosexuality in America.
When you hear McCarthy's speech and the rhetoric that they used in 53, saying that they were weak and a threat to our nation, it sends shudders through my body, but there is also an empathy to people who would have therefore had a completely confused understanding of the gay experience. That it was something that should be demonised or seen as a choice or a threat to society.
The series, streaming on Paramount Plus, a division of our parent company, weaves the gay experience through the civil rights era, Vietnam, and the AIDS crisis. But at its core is a love story.
I never loved anyone but you. You were my great, consuming love.
You do romantic leads rather well.
Thank you.
You do a lot of romantic leads.
I have
Whether
done.
it's gay romantic lead, heterosexual romantic lead.
Yeah. It's funny, I guess the exploration of romance, I think I found really fascinating. If there's something happening between two people, it's really exciting to play that.
Growing up, he played the role of theater kid, not pushed by his parents, he says, but by his own passion for acting, singing, and dance.
So I was down to play basketball, but the ballet classes were happening in here. I was obsessed with everything that was going on in here.
He joined the class and was at first, he says, blissfully unaware of how others might see it in a negative light.
I just had this sort of boundless enthusiasm for it. And testament to my parents, I wasn't hyper aware of the fact that I was the only boy in 50 miles who was wearing a leotard, and I loved it.
But you stopped ballet.
I did.
Why?
Well, it became clear when I was 13. I remember I brought a friend home, staying for the weekend. I was like, dude, yeah. So basically, yeah, we're going to do that. But before that, I've just got to pop in and just take one photo with so many girls. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. Cut to me in a leotard going, and all these women, these girls around me. And I thought this was like
cool,
mega. And I just remember clocking his eyes across the room. And it was that one moment in me that I went, oh, this isn't right. This isn't actually the right thing I should be doing. I just suddenly became aware of a story and a narrative that was put on something that I was so passionate about. So I actually decided not to continue with the dance, but I was acting and singing.
What pulled you back in the direction of this is who I am?
It's about masking, isn't it? Like, what are you prepared to continue to fight for? And for me, it very quickly became obvious that I wanted to be completely authentic.
And there was always horses there. There was a lone donkey.
That authenticity has served Jonathan Bailey well. He went on to acclaim performances in everything from Shakespeare to Sondheim, including a London revival of Company, earning him a coveted Laurence Olivier Award.
A lovely and celebratory snapshot of gay love.
Bailey is now set to star in the Jurassic World film franchise.
That was you who made all that happen.
And has a lead role in Wicked, the star-studded movie adaptation of Broadway's long-running musical.
To dance and to sing is a dream come true. And when I met John Chu, the director, we talked a lot about actually growing up and about dance and what it meant, and to play a character who literally dances through life is now, that is full circle.
A full circle moment and a nod to a childhood passion that persisted.
After the break, an exclusive excerpt from Michelle Miller's chat with Jonathan Bailey, something you can only see right here on Here Comes the Sun. Stay with us.
Because of a digital age where we hear more opinions, for better or for worse, I think people are allowed to question their expectations that are put on them.
As promised, here's more from Michelle Miller's interview with Jonathan Bailey.
Did you learn about the Lavender Scare at all?
I had no idea about, no.
So most Americans didn't either. But in reading about it, what's so intricate about the erasure is how it was utilized to prop up the Red Scare.
Yeah.
The anti-communist through line could not have existed without the validation of the lavender scare?
Well, it's an extraordinary act of sort of bigotry and homophobia to identify a certain type of person as being vulnerable and weak and susceptible to coercion, and using that as a reason to get them out of government. I'm learning, and I'm learning so much, but you realise how these movements and these decisions in government often work in tandem.
You fall in love with every role. You fall in love with every story.
I think you have to, and I think the best, I don't know, I just think don't judge your character. And if you fully love someone, I think the judgment falls out the window. And if you don't judge a character, I think you don't get in the way of it. I don't know.
So, the chemistry with Simone Ashley is just the same as the chemistry with Matt Bomer.
Yeah.
Because of the story.
And that's true. And there's one thing that the two characters of Anthony and Tim, they do cross over in yearning. I mean, Anthony is someone who is sort of without family, actually, as is Tim.
Well, in both, the sex scenes are pretty intense. How did you feel about those?
They're an opportunity to be able to tell and to capture nuance and psychological sort of process in a way that you can't in necessarily always in writing. And I know with Matt particularly, and the possibility to show over 30 years, over 4 decades, how two people, how their bodies, how they come together in different ways.
You said that the biggest obstacle you faced this year is still the endless, tedious, and archaic commentary that playing gay can capsize a man's career. Is that true, not true?
Well, it's
or
interesting.
Just tiring?
No, I think specifically with that quote, I mean, much like this anyway, but you say something and sometimes the nuance is lost, and actually what I meant there really is that to be an out gay actor, and the conversation around, at one point even playing as a straight man playing gay was seen as risky in itself, and then it was seen as the way to get an Oscar. And for gay men, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting time because I think people are really, and rightly so, I think the way people are choosing to live their lives and to think about that, people are more questioning, and people are, because of a digital age where we hear more opinions, for better or for worse, I think people are allowed to question their expectations that are put on them.
Up next, such great heights. Welcome back. Professional cliff diving isn't just an elite technical sport. Athletes say it's also a challenging mental game. Divers can reach speeds of up to 65 miles an hour in just 3 seconds. Seth Doane caught up with competitors from all around the world in Italy.
To the thrill of crowds, they plunge up to 9 stories in less than 3 seconds, reaching 65 miles per hour. The video needs to be slowed to appreciate the flips and turns. Oh my God. And with keen attention to the performance nature of this, the divers even practice jumping from apartment balconies.
This is crazy what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure.
25-year-old Molly Carlson is among these professional divers, or daredevils.
It's the biggest mental game I've ever played in my life.
Who come every year to compete in Italy's coastal town of Polignano, Mare, where limestone cliffs have been tempting amateur divers for generations.
Welcome to southern Italy and the third stop of the 2000.
And where each summer Red Bull takes this quaint pastime up a notch, way up. 68 feet for women and 90 feet for men. Divers have to land feet first to absorb impact.
The more flips you do, like you're really feeling the G-forces, and then when you hit the water, you typically go 4 or 5 meters deep.
It's a picturesque stop on an international circuit to crown the world's best cliff diver. Jumping from a bridge in Bosnia or a platform in front of the Eiffel Tower. Molly Carlson, who's Canadian, was among 10 women facing off in Puglia. On the men's side, her boyfriend Aidan Heslop from the United Kingdom was one of 12 in this 2-day competition.
So we're going up how high?
To the top.
To the top.
On practice day, he took us up, past the women's platform, 3 stories higher to the men's.
Not a big fan of heights.
They suggested wearing a harness. We were happy to oblige.
We just focus on our dive and stay chill up here. This is like second nature for us now, you know?
That's crazy. It is not second nature for me. My legs are actually wobbling. But thanks for bringing me up here.
Of course.
Want to go down?
Heslop nailed his practice dives, but was struggling on day 1 of the competition, as was Molly Carlson.
I've had a lot of anxiety going into this competition. I don't know why.
But she's used to pressure. While cliff diving itself is not yet an Olympic sport, for years Molly Carlson's only goal was to make it to the Olympics on the Canadian diving team.
As soon as I didn't make that Olympic team, it was like everything came to light. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been suffering for a year and no one knows about it.
Under crushing stress, at the time she developed an eating disorder.
I was 16 years old, I was taller than everyone else in my field. The smaller you are, the easier you can flip and the faster you are. So I thought, okay, if I get smaller in a skinnier way, maybe I can achieve the same dives that they're doing.
By not eating.
By not eating, exactly.
She just missed qualifying, but says that devastating result ended up being a turning point.
I told my family, and as soon as I opened up about it, it was like, I want to get the help.
When she occasionally still suffers, she's cheered on by her roughly 4 million TikTok followers, where she has a hashtag #BraveGang, encouraging others to share their brave stories.
Beautiful. And 3.
Today she trains at home in Montreal, where she couples ballet, working balance, alignment, and rhythm.
All right, only high divers can come up here.
With time on the very high platform.
I walked super fast in this part. The last ladder before 20 meters. Whew.
She took our camera up to show us her perspective.
This is 10-meter platform. That is the Olympic height, and we are double that. Isn't that wild? Full tour, the ladder you just came up, and the 20-meter platform.
This is one of just 3 permanent platforms of this height anywhere in the world. One is in China, the other is in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we met Ellie Smart, who at 28 is one of the most senior divers.
Get it going faster.
And is also a coach.
To watch someone else overcome their fears and do things they never thought they'd be able to do, like that gives me so much joy, and sometimes more than doing it myself.
The platform is so high that athletes can get injured from the impact of the water if they dive from it more than a few times a week.
There's not very many training facilities in the world, so a lot of what we do in our off-season training is we break our dives up into 2 parts. And then you come to these locations and you actually just hope that you've trained both parts well enough that they'll go together pretty seamlessly. So we'll just do some front jumps, get used to feeling the waves. And
back in Italy, we watched Smart training one of her young divers.
You don't step on that platform unless you are 99.9% sure you can do what you're about to do.
There is danger. People get hurt.
Yeah. I really look at football and some of those other sports that are really high contact sports. They have a lot of risks as well.
It's like going through a car crash 1,000 times, you know?
It sounds awful.
It definitely
it really
is.
sounds like a terrible thing.
But absolutely worth it every single time.
But why? How?
In the moment, you feel nothing but pure bliss, and that's the scary part. Your natural instincts are like, don't jump, this is crazy. But in the air, it's like, finally, this moment of silence. I have anxiety, I live with it every single day, but the second I jump off that platform, My mind is so calm.
It's a sort of odd tranquility while being cheered on and judged. But on the final day of this competition, Carlson pulled ahead, placing second. Her boyfriend, Aiden Heslop, landed first.
Giving it all he's got.
It's exciting, and I think we love every second of it. Being there for the lows as well as the highs makes the highs even more special, so I'm really proud of you.
For those who find climbing to these heights, never mind jumping from them, an unimaginable challenge, well, it might surprise you sometimes Ellie Smart does too.
It's one of those things you walk up there and still now, 7 years in, I'm like, am I gonna be okay?
But you still do it?
But I still do it because the feeling that you get when you hit the water, it's like the most empowering feeling I could ever have. I just did this thing that I genuinely thought I couldn't do, and because of that, I know that I can unlock even more of, you know, my own human potential.
I'm Lee Cowan. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right here next time on Here Comes the Sun.